Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. This is Season 5, Episode 18, and today we're going to take a little bit light topic. There's been some news about the Rey films that are coming out, hopefully at some point, so we kind of wanted to discuss those news. So before we get into the discussion, Goose, why don't you summarize a little bit what we've found out in the last couple weeks?
Well, it's been
yeah.
At this point, right? It's one of those things where it's what do you believe and what is a reliable source, and it's one of those questions that also in this post-election world, it's just like, what is media? What do we trust? I don't know.
Is the world ending?
The world is ending, I think, unfortunately. I mean, considering that Dr. Oz, who is an idiot, is going to be managing Medicaid and Medicare. Like, who knows? Well, I mean, but not to go into a tangent, but we have been doing two politically.
We've been doing some political stuff,
but people have been bashing the Dr. Oz appointment, and rightly so. But
it's not the worst one, I think.
but at least the man's a doctor and has at least something to do with the departments that he's going to be administrating. So it's kind of like in this dumpster fire, you look at it and you're like, maybe this won't be a disaster. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone.
It's not good.
I don't want anyone to think that
misunderstand.
that I'm advocating for Dr. Oz here, or Dr. Phil, or any of these, or Dr. Carson, or any of these idiot doctors that the MAGA movement have co-opted. But who knows? But anyway, but that was a tangent to just talk about like what is reality and what is media integrity in terms of the news. And the Hollywood Reporter, which is a reputable pop culture, media, film, news site, magazine, whatever you want to call it. It came out with an article a couple of days ago. When was it? November 12th. So relatively fresh. We're within a week. We're not one of those break the news the minute it happens podcast.
Yeah, we're not good at that. Sorry.
We're not good at that. We have jobs. I apologize. But in it, it's basically talking about the news of the Rey film the standalone Rey film that's going to be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, maybe being pushed back and delayed, but also the news that Simon Kinberg, who love him or hate him, because he has done lots of duds in the film department, especially when you look at X-Men Dark Phoenix, but has also done good Star Wars with Star Wars Rebels and I forgot the episode that he helped write, but you know, people bash him, but he has done some good Star Wars. It's revealed from the Hollywood Reporter that he's going to be writing and producing a new trilogy of films for Disney and Lucasfilm, which the article doesn't specify if it's going to be a Skywalker Saga trilogy or if it's going to just be a standalone trilogy a la the Rian Johnson trilogy that we still haven't gotten or probably will never get at this point.
I don't think we're ever getting that.
Nope. But you know, now it's the whole rumor mill of everything that's going to happen. The article also goes into, I mean, not detail because it's all speculation, but into the rumor mill of Rey being a key asset, quote unquote, of Star Wars films moving forward because she might appear in this trilogy. And obviously she has her own standalone film, even though it's been delayed, but still on the agenda. So, you know, I mean, I don't want to go too much into the article per se, right? Because the article is, you know...
Just read it. It's there. It's online.
Just read it. It's there. We're not going to read it for you. But I rather just speculate as good Star Wars fans do. But, as we always say... Responsibly. Because there's been like so much conversation online about the films, and obviously I have my opinions. I know you have yours. I haven't heard them yet, so I think this is a good moment to discuss not just the film future of Lucasfilm, but also Rey's future, which is a future that I'm definitely interested in. But before we go into all of that, what was your reaction to reading the article and the alleged news of all these films?
I mean, it kind of just proves why I don't stay in touch with the news, really, like entertainment news, especially because there's always so much back and forth and so much, like you said, just speculation about what's going to happen without us really knowing what's true, what's not true, what's behind everything. I mean, even the article says itself that Star Wars has always had its own kind of culture within itself, and obviously all that changed when Disney bought Lucasfilm. So there's just a lot of internal struggle for me, and when you can't name your source where you're getting your information from. I'm very skeptical about what it is that we're hearing. Um, so yeah, so I think we talked about the Rey standalone a little bit because it was announced at Star Wars Celebration London, and everybody was freaking out when it happened. You were there. So it was something kind of that we all wanted, but weren't sure if it was ever going to happen. So the fact that we were actually getting Rey back, played by Daisy Ridley, that she was excited about revisiting a character, after she's been more mature and got a chance to I don't know, maybe do some introspection about what she wants that character to be, which was really interesting. Now, the talk about another trilogy worries me a little bit.
How come?
Because I think that we should be done with the Skywalker saga. That is my opinion. I love them.
Because of how the sequel trilogy ended, or just because you want to just see new things? Because I think there's two ways to talk about continuing the Skywalker saga.
Yeah. I would say it's a little bit of both. Just because I think even George Lucas's original vision was a 9-movie kind of saga that was supposed to conclude to maybe give the opportunity for more stories to be told. At this point, most of those legacy characters are dead. And I think so much has surrounded the entire saga that I think the article correctly states that it's kind of become a religion. And then if you do one thing, fans are going to get pissed. If you do the opposite, they're still going to get pissed. So, I mean, if you follow canon to the letter, it's the same thing. You're just rehashing. If you change something like The Last Jedi, you're being too extreme. This is terrible. You're ruining the legacy. I mean, and this was when you still had Luke, Han, and Leia around, So if you would want to do another trilogy based on the Skywalkers, and now the one who, in my opinion, should have carried on the legacy, which is Kylo Ren, is also dead. I don't think it is. I don't think it's interesting anymore to do the Skywalker saga as another huge trilogy. Obviously, there's still stories to be told. I wouldn't say no to continuing stories in some way. I mean, there's a lot of comic books that happened during that era. There's a lot of books. So there's a lot of things to be explored. But to continue the films and just we're doing episode 10, 11, and 12 now, I don't think it's what I don't think it's what I want personally. Because I think that was that closing chapter in The Rise of Skywalker. Either you love it or hate it, or however you feel about it. It was a closing of a chapter. You have Rey wanting to become Rey Skywalker and taking the Jedis in a different direction. So that's why I was really excited about a Rey standalone, because it's it's a start of a new beginning. If they want to focus a trilogy on her, I would not be opposed to that either, but not be a Skywalker saga. It's the new Jedi or whatever it is that you want to do with the stories. And I would not be opposed to also doing a prequel trilogy, really far in the past or something. But then, when you go too far in the past and you get a little weird, people react badly like they did for the Acolyte. So it's just, it was also a thing that they quoted somebody saying in the article that now Star Wars is just a nostalgia-based thing. Everything is about nostalgia. And I get it. It is nostalgic. But like we've talked about before, the films are there. If you want to feel nostalgic, you can rewatch them. That shouldn't stop original creation from happening. And like we've said before, different generations, when they come into Star Wars, different parts of Star Wars are what's important to them. I mean,
Mhm.
my nieces are going to get to the point where they're going to start watching Star Wars at some point, and they're probably going to start with like Skeleton Crew or something else, and that's what they're going to love. And they're not going to care that the Old Testament is the original
Mhm.
trilogy,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know?
Right. Right.
So I just think that if they want to continue with the Star Wars saga as, originally conceived, you're just limiting storytelling and you're limiting just creativity because this is a galaxy far, far away. And there are so many stories that could be told.
Mhm. It's and I agree with like most of everything that you've been saying, and it's honestly, I mean, we know movies are art, we know TV
Yeah.
shows are art, but we, especially in this like new era of megalomaniacal billionaires that are coming in to take
Hmm.
over the world just because they believe in profits and pure
Hmm.
unrestrained capitalism.
And because they
Art,
can.
because they can, because we put them there. Let's be honest. It's not
Yep.
mince of
Hmm.
words.
Yeah.
Like people elected them, you know. So is the let's talk about Revenge of the Sith, right? The Padme was right. This is how liberty dies with thunderous applause, and George Lucas said it like
Hmm.
what is it? Democracies are taken away; they're given away.
Yeah.
So and that's what we're seeing. And the reason I'm making that side point is like because one, the world events are on my mind 24/7 now because of the world we're gonna traverse now in 2025 is gonna be completely different to the one from 2016, but also because it fundamentally the world I think has changed in the last if 8 years in which I mean there's always been capitalism and everything
Yeah.
that is produced needs to be have profits to justify making more of because if a movie and a TV show didn't make money, then why invest in more of that? Like
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
tricky situation when the art and media that is being made is it serves a different purpose as well because
Yeah.
I get in architecture. I'm an architect and as an architect like yeah you want to do your beautiful artistic
But you
architectural
still want to
vision
get paid.
but you also want to get paid. You need to
Yeah.
stay in budget. You need to
Yeah.
keep clients happy. Like there's a myriad, right, of things that
Hmm.
like butt up against you and influence what the art is. And I think it's part of the artist and the artist's vision to be able to navigate all those things to finally produce, right, and
Yeah.
create the thing that they maybe not the original vision, but a vision nonetheless that they
Yeah.
wanted to create. And the world that we're in now, like it's extremely hard because now it's
Yeah.
all these corporate interests that don't see the value of art and culture. They only see the value of consumption and
Mm-hmm.
profits. And
Yeah.
it's not about how good The Last Jedi was. It's not about how good Andor was. It's about what was the viewership,
Yeah.
how many subscribers did we get from it. That's
Hmm.
why you are gonna start getting like all these streaming services that want to have AI generated content so that you can create the own content that you want, because at the end of the day they, and when I say they I mean the billionaire CEOs and managers of like these capitalist corporations only don't care. They just want you to be consuming. So in that sense, I think that Star Wars is in a very in a extremely complicated pickle, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word, because they have the deck stacked against them. You know,
Yeah.
they did the
And the
Last
fans
Jedi.
themselves, honestly.
Exactly, they did the
Yeah.
Last Jedi. They did
Yeah.
the Acolyte. They've done like a bunch of things to kind of try to start breaking away with it. And it's been received well, but there's also been massive backlash. The Rise of Skywalker saw diminishing returns. So it's just like I feel like
Yeah.
there's, and I think it's the Disney overlords, right? They're trying to milk Star Wars as a product for every last cent, and they haven't figured
Yeah.
out how to the formula, right? Of how to
Yeah.
how to get that Star Wars money. And I think that it's only going to make problems for creators that want to just jump in and
Yeah.
make good stories, because it's, I feel that's why we haven't gotten like a movie. I feel like they're
Yeah.
trying to get it
They're
right,
butting
and
heads probably so much that
yeah,
they
yeah,
can't get to
and
what.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I rather them take their time, right, to make
Oh, I agree.
a film and
Definitely.
a
Yeah.
show that's of
That's worth it.
quality.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, taking so much time also is kind of like a sign of trouble too, because it's
Mhm.
just like you have kept announcing things, you've kept pushing schedules. There's rumors of directors
And
coming in,
people step
rumors of
back.
directors exactly leaving.
Yeah.
So it doesn't inspire excitement,
Yeah.
at least to me, because it just
Yeah.
it feels like there's as much turmoil behind closed doors at Lucasfilm as there are like in the federal government in the next couple of months. So
Hmm.
for the worse, I think. But that
Yeah,
being
I mean,
said,
and then it definitely makes you wonder, like, why are people stepping back? Like, what
mhm,
is the creative differences that are happening? Are they really just like being so tied that
mhm,
they're not allowed to have like any creative input, and they're just like, this is what you're gonna make, and this is the formula, and this is how you please people, and then
mhm,
that's it. And then how can somebody have any chance at being creative, like we saw with the John Williams documentary, which is so good.
mhm, mhm,
Um, that one of the reasons that John Williams was so good was because the directors kind of gave him a free reign, and they would show him the pictures without sound or anything, and then just kind of let him flow. And I feel like that's being so, it's become almost impossible now,
yeah.
because it's so much, this is what I want from you. And if even you as an architect, if you're not invested in a project, are you going to give your best? I don't think you are.
You always try to do a good job.
Yeah, but
Let's say that. Let's say that.
right. But if you were actually giving more creative authority, and it was something that was, like your child,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
there would be a lot more invested into it and into making it the best.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm still excited for Ray, and like you said, like I was there in at Celebration Europe in London when Daisy Ridley came out
yeah.
on stage and they announced the new movie. Like I'm on
Yeah.
board, because I think
Hmm.
Ray's story, despite the Last Jedi, I mean the Rise of Skywalker, sorry, despite the Rise of Skywalker, I think that there's a lot of potential there, because
Yeah.
as we discussed before Rise of Skywalker ever came out, like I thought my operating theory for why the movie was called Rise of Skywalker was that, like Luke said, it's time for the Jedi to end, and like Rey was gonna be
Yeah.
like, yeah, like it's not about uh,
Yeah.
maintaining a dogma of a dead
Hmm.
religion. It's about
Yeah.
interpreting it and making it better and building on it and building on a legacy, and the legacy of Luke and Anakin, Luke and Leia and Anakin,
Hmm.
and like the Skywalkers. And I thought, the Jedi were over and it was going to be Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Proven wrong.
spoiler alert, that didn't happen. But but I think there's still something in there that we can explore,
Yeah.
right? Because Rey takes up the name Skywalker, so there's still a Skywalker legacy
Yeah.
to move forward with, and a new Jedi Order to build based on that. So like I think that there's a lot of really cool things that can
Yeah.
be done with that movie, where it can be like a much smaller character study that's just about like how she's managing uh,
Hmm. The
leading the
fallout, and
legacy,
then
and
becoming the leader, and
right,
then like
and
actually studying the Jedi books and deciding if
hmm
the Jedi were actually basing themselves on that, or if they had diverged into something that was completely different. I
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like it could have been a really amazing character study.
I mean, it could be like as you were saying that, all of a sudden it clicked in my mind. Did you watch
Mm.
the latest Planet of the Apes movie?
I had the
King
not the latest one. No,
Kingdom
sorry.
of the Planet. I mean, Planet of the Apes franchise is
I know,
near
I
and
love
dear to
them
my
too.
heart.
Yeah.
I love
Mhm.
like those Charlton Heston films. Like I
Yeah.
watched them all the time growing up, and like the new films with Andy Serkis, I love. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is amazing. So I definitely recommend you watching it. But
Mhm.
I need to spoil things now, and it's been a
It's fine.
couple
It's okay.
months since the
I
movie
know.
came out, so I
It's
don't feel
my
that
fault. Yeah. Mhm.
bad. But that movie, I think one of the really good things, and obviously it's going to be part of a trilogy, but one of the
Yeah.
really good things that that movie did is just, and there's a parallelisms, right, with what we're talking about now with the new Star Wars movies. It's going to be a new trilogy, and
Okay.
obviously it follows. No, not obviously, but it follows the events of the original trilogy, but it's set in the future, right? So
Okay.
it does follow the legacy of Caesar, but it's been I don't know how many decades or centuries. I don't remember what the timeline is, but it's far removed from Caesar and the like core trilogy of the reboots, and a lot of the movie has to do with factions that are created that follow Caesar's legacy. And what
Okay.
does it mean to be an ape and follow Caesar's teachings? And I
Yeah.
think that that could be, I'm always a sucker for a temple in the woods and stuff like that. So that's why I
Yeah.
think that Rey's temple should be in Javin for like Luke's was in the expanded universe. That's kind of like that's what I'm rooting for, even though I'm
Hope.
pretty sure it's not gonna happen. But I like that mythos of like Rey like in a forest, right? Just not because forests are the metaphor, right? Discovering yourself, but
Yeah.
also not just discovering herself within the forest, but also discovering what the temple means and what the Skywalker legacy means. So I think there's a lot of potential in that movie. And I know I'm going like in a billion tangents here, but in that sense, I'm not opposed to the trilogy, right? Because you can make
Yeah.
trilogy spin-offs and still make it work. But I know that even though the marketing of the Rise of Skywalker was that this is wrapping up three trilogies of films. Obviously, it didn't do that, but it was the end of the Skywalkers because all the Skywalkers were killed, unalived off,
Unalived.
and Ray takes the mantle. But it's everything. How many bands have announced that this is their last tour and they're gonna
How many
break
times have
up?
the Rolling Stones done that? Oh my
It's
god.
exactly. It's like so. I'm just like, man, like it's a marketing thing. I get it. I know that we want to trust these things, but at the same time, it's just like same thing with Marvel. Oh, all these characters died. Boom, they're back. Oh, Robert Downey Jr. back, baby. It's just like
Doctor Doom.
it's comic books and fantasy and sci-fi.
Which can
There's
always be reinvented too.
exactly.
I agree with that. But
Um,
would you be okay with like continuing a Skywalker saga?
Absolutely, because
Okay. Okay.
I think that I mean, one selfish. I want to see the crawl again, the big screen. I want to
Mm.
see new
Mm-hmm.
stories in the saga.
Yeah.
But I think that it's. I mean, Balin's Skull says it perfectly in the Ahsoka series. It's a cycle that continues and goes on and goes on and goes on. I think that there's as as long as there's a good story, I'm I'm bored. It's just like why limit
Yeah.
ourselves to what we can do if there's cool stories to
Yeah.
tell. What I do, and I mean, and we're within the time frame. It's crazy how time works because between The Force Awakens and Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith came out 2005. The Force Awakens came out 2015. There was 10 years in between. Next year is
Yeah.
going to be 2025, which is going to be the
Yeah.
10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens, which is insane to think about.
I
But
cannot believe it's been 10 years
in
since The
only
Force
in
Awakens. Oh
only
my
a
god.
couple of years, it's 2029, and I think that's the 10th anniversary is going to be the 10th anniversary of the Rise of Skywalker, and I think that would be, it's
Prime
perfect
time.
perfect
Yeah.
time to just boom episode 10. It's like 10 years between prequels and sequels, and now 10 years between sequels and super duper sequels. So
And then you've kind of set up what was happening with Rey with her standalone and
mhm,
maybe
mhm,
set up some of the other things happening in the rest of the universe through The Mandalorian, through
yeah,
Ahsoka, and whatever else
yeah.
they want to do, and then kind of say, this is where the galaxy is
More
all these
politics,
years
please,
later.
so that we know what the state
Oh,
of the
yeah.
galaxy actually is this time around. But
Yeah.
my only caveat on it, though, is that don't have it be set soon after the sequel trilogy. I feel
Yeah,
that
you
it
need to
needs to
let it
be,
run the time. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's either like 30 years later
Yeah.
or 100 years later. I feel like there needs to be space in
Hmm.
between so that it feels like its own thing and not just another nostalgia, like we were talking about, like you were saying that the
Yeah.
article says, not just another nostalgia grab for the original trilogy,
Yeah.
which may or may not happen because some of the other rumors that this article and others have pointed out is that Rey is going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi type character for some of the other films,
Hmm.
which is great. Don't get me wrong, but Daisy Ridley is still an
Yeah.
extremely young person,
Yeah.
and for me, I'm just like, I know we can
There's
age
no
people up and
there's
stuff,
no
but
need to cover her up in a cowl and have her
yeah,
just walk around like an old lady. Like,
yeah,
just make her a badass.
yeah. I feel like we need to
I'm totally okay with that.
we
Yeah.
need to get the Jedi Master Daisy Ridley
Yeah.
that we didn't get for Luke Skywalker. I mean, we got him a little bit in the Mandalorian season 2, but we need to
Yeah.
see the Master, right, doing something. And I think that Rey needs to discover herself and go on a journey and start the temple and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
think there's so much
And I would
to
love
do.
to see Finn
Mhm.
coming back and see
Yeah,
his journey to becoming a Jedi as well.
I
I
mean,
think
I
he was a
may,
really interesting character, was very underused and very kind of abused in his role in the Rise of Skywalker,
100%.
and we can do better with Finn.
We can do better with Finn, and I think that there's
Yeah.
also an avenue to bring back Kylo Ren. I mean, Ben Solo.
Yeah.
I think we
Hmm.
can do that. In the Force, all things are possible.
Hmm.
But I think Star Wars needs to get weird with a lot of these
Yeah.
things, and either Rey go to Peridia, where Ahsoka went in the other galaxy, or stay in the unknown regions in Exegol, but explore things that we haven't seen before. That gives her a better or a different understanding of the
Yeah.
Force from what we've seen so far, so that we can because we can't make Star Wars new and fresh if we don't do new and fresh things. So
Yeah. I agree.
I just want to believe that there's a Star Wars movie coming out, and I
Yeah.
don't think that we I'll believe it until my ass is sat on a theater
Theater
chair
chair. Yeah.
and I see the Lucasfilm logo on the big screen.
And then you hear it, bang.
Or maybe not. Maybe they're like, "Hey, the Crawl is dead forever because the Skywalker Saga is done." Yeah,
Hmm.
which is also I don't know. I want to see the Crawl again. I want to see
I
it.
want to see the crawl and the amazing intro by John Williams.
Yeah,
Yep.
but at least we
We'll
know we're
see.
getting the Mandalorian film from Jon Favreau,
Yeah.
which cool. we're
Yeah.
get we're
Yeah.
getting well. I think it's still in the books, but like the Ahsoka, Thrawn, whatever the hell we want to
Yeah.
call it, movie from Filoni, and there's like a bunch of films that are also rumored. The Lando one, the Taika Waititi one, apparently the Rogue Squadron one with Patty Jenkins might be on back. Who the hell
Yeah.
knows? So there's so much stuff that I'm just like, I don't know. I just
We don't know if anything's getting made. All we know for sure is that we're getting Skeleton Crew soon, which I'm
which we'll
actually
be
now
covering.
really excited about. I mean,
It just looks
it's
like
the
fun.
trailers. It looks
Yeah,
like fun.
looks like
I think
fun.
it's great for the holidays.
Yeah, it just looks like the reprieve that we need to kind
Yeah.
of relax a little bit from all the current events that are happening. Because who knows?
Yeah.
Like maybe this next administration that comes in is gonna
We
have
have no idea.
retribution against all the studios and
And
people,
everything gets canceled and
and
we don't get any
yeah,
content and yep.
yeah.
And then
Except
suddenly they control what we watch in the media
yeah,
more than they already do.
We'll
And then
we'll get our
yep.
the Daily Caller films that suck with Gina Carano and Pure Flicks, the crappy Christian movies. That's what we'll be stuck with forever now.
Honestly, I would not be surprised at this point.
No, yeah, at this point,
Yeah,
just like the
would not be
world has
surprised.
become a parody of itself, and
Yep.
yeah, the culture is going to suffer. Minorities will suffer. It'll be rough, but we'll make it. Like I said, we have everything we need. Like Leia told us, we have
Hmm.
to trust in the communities that we're building and just rely on each other, and we'll make it. And we got Skeleton Crew to hold on, help us pass the time for the next couple of weeks. Which we've got some pretty cool guests scheduled
Yeah.
for. So please stay tuned for that. A
And
little
I
ray of
think
hope.
with that, we're done, right? Little ray of hope. And then obviously
A
Andor
little ray,
season 2.
a little ray of hope,
A
exactly.
little
And
ray. And then Andor
a little,
season 2 when that
and a
comes
little,
out, that We got a little bit of teaser for that. It looks amazing
It looks
already. I feel like
great,
it looks
and we got
amazing.
a confirmation that I mean it was quasi confirmed, but now it's official because we saw on I think Empire Magazine the stills that director Krennic is back. So we're gonna see Ben Mendelsohn don the cape again and be his beautiful snarky self. So we're excited. We're excited. We're excited for Andor.
Definitely. Mhm.
Andor is coming at the right time. It is
Yes,
the show that we needed.
most definitely. But I think we're done for today, right? Because
Yeah, I think the only update is to social medias as a continuation of our small little move, our little resistances that we do in the small capacities that we can. We've kind of abandoned Twitter. Obviously, we've left the account open so that those people that are on
I
that
want to reach
site
out.
that
Yeah,
or reach out, but like the nefarious people that are on that site don't
yeah,
take our handle and pretend to be us, even though like we're so small. Who's gonna do that? But just in case our account's locked and we're not gonna be posting there, we have opened our. I mean, we had our Blue Sky open for a
yeah.
while now, but that's where we will be more active because better moderation tools and all. We don't have we don't have the owner of Twitter or the owner of Facebook, who's almost as bad, even though he's
Yeah.
not as bad, but almost as bad. So we're untethering ourselves from
Mhm.
billionaires in the smallest ways that we can, even though there's no ethical consumption in capitalism. But we do what we can. We do what we can. So don't look for us on Twitter. Look for us on Blue Sky.
So we're good. Well, thank you for joining us. As always, we are Triad of the Force. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know how you feel about the future of Star Wars films. If you want a Skywalker saga to continue, if you want more new stories to come out, how do you feel about Rey and her role in the future of Star Wars? All those comments, we always enjoy them. So until next time, may the Force be with you.